Let's get into today's episode of Why We Succeed.
It was a store that sold African sculptures and clothing.
Okay.
The owner was extremely competitive. She'd make me, I remember one time, I clean up everything in there, dusted everything. Right. She walked me to the back room, back in the back. People can't see it. She was like, wow, that dust right there.
Wow.
And I even said to her, but yeah, this ain't on the floor, but it's still there. You got to have that mindset.
Wow.
Every single thing is clean, even in the back.
Right.
She was and I believe she's still successful to this day, but I learned a lot from her. I learned a lot from her. She was like, I remember when I first started at that place, sometimes I would just be sitting at the counter. We didn't get that many customers and stuff. She was like, Rom, you're just sitting there. You could be filling oil. You could be calling some people. I learned so much from her. And I had been in business for 10 years for myself at that point. See, that's an important thing. Never think you're above learning anything. Right. And people be surprised how many very successful people, whether it's in business, whether they corporate executives, will go to a seminar. They will pay. They will pay someone to tell them how to do it better.
Right.
So don't be arrogant. If somebody in business, they telling you something, listen. Like I said, I listened to the guy who sold chicken wings. I listened to her. I learned so much from her.
Right.
I would talk to people sometimes and, I see they doing well. I say, hey, you know what you're doing? I'm doing this business and stuff. Even some publishers, even some other publishers was like, well, what can I do to make my bottom line better? And they would tell me. And I had no fear of asking them. I'm like, wait a minute, they're making more money than me. Let me find out what they're doing.
What are you doing? Yo, that's so wise. And I'm curious, when you think back of working with that young lady, what was the most valuable lesson that you took away? Because it sounded like there was a number of things, but if you had to just point out one, which one would you say it is? What is going on, Success Squad? I hope you guys are enjoying this amazing discussion with my man, Rom Wills. If you are, hit that like button for us and leave a comment with any thoughts, any questions, or any takeaways that you'd like to share with us. I definitely will be in the comment section responding to anybody who leaves one. Also, if you want to gain access to my full discussion with Rom Wills, where he's dropping even more gems, sharing so much wisdom for my aspiring business owners, you definitely want to join our Patreon. Head over to patreon.com/Immanuel. The link is also in the description, and gain full access to my discussion with my man, Rom Wills. But right now, it ain't over. Let's get right back into our clip.
Stay busy. Stay busy. You never just sit around. There's always something you could do. Like I say, she would say, look, you could be filling oils. Definitely have it clean. When I get into the store, I spend the first 2 hours just cleaning. Say no dust, zero dust. Wow. When stuff comes in, she told me I need to have some customers.
Right.
That come in and they support me. Like something happening, give them a call, let them know, Wow. And I learned that, even when I worked retail too. I learned that from her, a guy who was a salesman. I learned a lot about how to sell and really merchandise stuff from him. Like always get that lesson. Yes. But that's the main thing, because she, like I said, she was successful. Because if you're going to learn from anybody, at least pay attention, even if you got to work for them. I would suggest it wouldn't be a bad thing to work for a successful business owner. No matter how tough it might be, it wouldn't be a bad thing. It just, just shadow them, pay attention to what they're doing. And if they like you, they'll tell you a lot. Right. Just don't compete with them. don't act like you're going to open the same business.
That kind of reminds me of what is it, the 48 Laws of Power, where they say like don't compete with the master or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Don't outshine the master. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, but learn from the master though, because a lot of people will teach. A lot of people will teach because everything really still comes down to relationships.
It does.
Relationships, have that good relationship. I mean, figure out how you can help each other. Because, here's another relationship. When I was vending, and I've done few hundred vending shows, hundred easily. And just vending everything from major expos to some little tiny things where we might get 10 people who come through the whole day. But I did a lot of networking with vendors. They would hook me up with other places. They would give me little things. Everything. And even when I first started, when I was doing an expo, I had, I was working in the government. One of my coworkers came and she had experience doing some vending. She came and actually restructured my table for me because she
Wow.
had the experience. She's like, no, Rom, you got to present your business cards like this. You need to show this. And I accepted it. I just learned because it was, I hadn't had, at that time, I hadn't vended before at all.
Yeah.
So she was just showing me some stuff to do just casually. I mean, she was just a customer and she said she took some time out. She took about 20 minutes, said, look, you need to straighten this out straight. And she wasn't mean or anything. I mean, she really, I mean, it was a really good friend. But she said, amazing. This is how you do it.
Yeah. Relationships are so important. Like I was sharing with you before we got on, and I've shared it so many times on this show. I truly believe that one of the true keys to success is relationships. And
it is.
Just through our conversation, just a few minutes we've been talking, so many different people have showed up along your journey that have helped you, that have imparted a seed, something, whether it was you seeing something, whether it was something you heard, like there's so many people that we meet along our journey, but it's so amazing how some people are just either unaware, they have blinders, or they're just closed off to receiving from other people. And I love the fact that you seem very receptive to say, hey, teach me, I'm ready to learn.
Oh, well, see, here's the thing. If you're in business, all businesses ultimately, you got to deal with relationships. If you talk with, you go into a store, right?
Yeah.
You might talk to a salesperson, a clerk or something for 2 or 3 minutes. That's actually a relationship, every encounter.
Right.
Now, if you in business, it's not even the people who help you, but your customers. A big part of business is repeat customers. Right. Like one of the bookstore owners, he told me, he said he just needed 100 people to come in and buy something a month. Just 100.
Right.
And I learned that it's like, you got to have good customer service. You're building a relationship. In fact, depending on your store, you could be creating a community. I remember when like I said, 1,000 jobs when I was working at this gym, a couple gyms. A big part of it was the community that was created. That's a relationship.
It is.
You know, if you're in business, look, you can't hate people. You can't have major issues.
Or you're not going to be in business long.
No, I don't care what it is. I don't care what it is. Even if you're doing some online business, some online service, if somebody's communicating with you and they have an issue, they ain't going to want to work with you. Because let's be real, when people buy stuff, a lot, it's not just the product. A lot of times you got about 50 to 100 places you might can get that product or get that service. People decide mainly on the person, how they feel about that person. Do they feel like that person's going to do a good job for them? How tight it is. I learned that from some salesmen. They would get real personal with people, and all of a sudden they selling all this stuff. They ain't even really selling it. That person feels so good, they start buying more.
Right. It's funny because sometimes a person can relate so well with another individual that the person feels like, yo, I want to buy something from you. It's just like, are you selling something?
Exactly. Because in business, you got to think about it. It's mainly sales, whether you're selling a service or product. The main thing with sales is that connection.
It is.
You know, you can't, I would say this, if someone's going to be in business, you better be able to connect on at least a polite level with anybody.
Right.
Even if they could be, they could have a different religion than you, different race. They could be racist, politics, whatever. While you taking care of that business, it's all about how cool you are. Because even with that race thing, there were, DC area, there were a couple there was like this soul food place, a couple of them. You go in there, Black owned, but you couldn't get in there for the whites.
Wow. And
one place, I mean, the dude was on some hardcore Black nationalist stuff. And people were still in there. I've seen a couple places like that. They had red, black, and green, but they gave great service and they were polite. And people were like, people being there just eat. That's how deep it is. If people want that service, they want that product. As long as you polite, they don't have to like you. You don't have to be best buddy, but at least polite. And then that actually builds up something. That builds up a customer base, everything. So, I mean, the relationships, it's always important. Your relationships with your public, your community. And like I said, depending on your business, you can create a community.
All right, Success Squad, I hope you guys enjoyed that clip from the discussion with my man, Rom Wills. Make sure you show him some love and support. The link to his YouTube channel will be in the description. Also, if you want to gain access to even more of Rom's wisdom, his experiences, and the gems that he has for all of my aspiring first-time business owners, you definitely want to tap in and check out the full discussion. It's exclusively available for our Patreon members, so head over to patreon.com/Immanuel to gain access to it right now. I know you're going to enjoy it, learn so much more from my man Rom. Until next time, Success Squad, stay blessed.